so much. Yeah, I'm super honored to be here and to share my story with everybody. So my presentation is on navigating neurodiversity in tech, embracing differences for success. So I will I will give a bit of an introduction of myself, and then we'll dive into the topic of neurodiversity. So what is neurodiversity and the benefits of neurodiversity in tech, and also the challenges and strategies to navigate and embrace neurodiversity in the tech industry. So first of all, a bit about me. So I'm Nina. I was born and grew up in Beijing, China, and I moved to London in 2015. So I've been actually moved to Birmingham first, and then now I'm based in London. I've been in the UK for 8 years, and I actually did my degree in psychology. And then I transitioned, after I graduated, I transitioned into technology. I was first a consultant at PwC, and then I joined Microsoft, and now I work as a software engineer there. So it's definitely a very interesting journey. A lot of people ask how I sort of made that transition, despite not having studied, say, computer science at university. And I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 24, which was last year. So literally, I think just almost a year ago. I think I got diagnosed officially in August, but I think I've suspected that I've had ADHD for a long time before my official diagnosis. I think the fact that I studied psychology definitely helped. I think, that was where I sort of learned about the different neurodivergent conditions. And it was like the symptoms of ADHD kind of uncannily fitting for all the, things that I've experienced growing up. I've been really passionate about neurodiversity and been advocating for this cause. Tech industry. I also did this presentation actually at Google Women Tech Maker International Women's Day event earlier this year in March. It's my second time doing this presentation. I think it worked really well. So the first time. So I hope everybody will enjoy the presentation this time as well. I think let's first have a look at what neurodiversity is. So by the definition of Cambridge Dictionary, it is the idea that people having a range of different types of brains should be regarded as part of normal human life. So it is basically the natural variation in human brains. And so it doesn't mean that you have an illness or disease, even though some neurodivergent people consider themselves disabled, but that's not everybody. I don't really consider myself this way. So I think it's really, really a range, and there's no right or wrong way to be neurodivergent. It just means that your brain works in a different way from other people, and it's something that you're born with. And sometimes, like, the signs of neurodivergency might be noticed when you're very young, but sometimes it's not diagnosed until you're older. So in my case, when I was younger, I wasn't diagnosed, but I think because I grew up in China, I don't think it's a very well-known thing back home. But I was diagnosed once, last year. So it is definitely possible to get diagnosed when you're an adult, when you're older, and because the symptoms that when you're younger might have been missed by teachers, by your parents, etc. And also, if you're neurodivergent, you're actually neurodivergent for your whole life. It is not something that is curable. It's not something that you can get rid of, or you can take medicine or have an operation to remove it or anything. It's some, but by the same time, some of us do need support to help us with certain aspects of our lives. And so this is a really, I think, a good chart by Genius Within. So we actually use Genius Within at Microsoft. It is an organization that support neurodivergent individuals at workplace. So yeah, there are like a lot of different like conditions that falls under the neurodivergent umbrella, and a lot of them can coexist, or what we call comorbid, and at the same time it's also a spectrum. A lot of these sort of conditions are like that you say on a spectrum is not sort of black and white. And it's super nice that there are organizations like this that provide workplace accommodation to support the new minorities at the workplace. And and it is also important to know that this is not an exhaustive list. So there are other conditions that fall under the umbrella, but these are just the more common ones. And for my talk in particular, I want to focus on, I guess, the three more common conditions, which are autism, ADHD, and dyslexia. So everyone who are neurodivergent, we all have like our superpowers, but also our kryptonites. So people with autism, autism is refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with things like social skills, repetitive behaviorals, speech, and nonverbal communication. The strengths of autistic people can be strong attention to details, excellent memory skills, unique problem-solving perspective, ability to focus intently on a task for extended periods. But at the same time, the challenges can be difficulty with social interactions and communications, sensory sensitivities that can be overwhelming or distracting at times, and also challenges with executive functioning such as planning and organization. So ADHD, which is what I've been diagnosed with, is characterized by excessive amount of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. So our strengths include high levels of energy and creativity, out of the box thinking, ability to multitask and handle multiple projects at once, and also excellent problem solving skills. But at the same time, we really struggle with things like sustained focus, tasks that require sustained focus and attention. We also tend to be a bit impulsive and distractible, and also massive. I have personally massive problem with like time management and prioritization as well. And then dyslexia is characterized by difficulties with accurate and fluent word recognition, and and can be can struggle with spelling and decoding. But at the same time, people with dyslexia tend to have strong visual spatial skills. They tend to be excellent problem solvers, and also very similarly, the ability to think outside the box. So they tend to be very creative, imaginative. Challenges for dyslexic people include difficulty with reading, writing, and spelling, and also challenges with language processing. So similarly to ADHD as well, people might also have poor organization skills and time management. So it's important to know that these strengths or challenges are not necessarily universal and might vary among individuals, because it's neurodiversity, so people the different conditions can manifest differently in different individuals. But at the same time, it's important to recognize and appreciate these characteristics, so we can create a more inclusive and supportive environment for neurodivergent. In terms of like neurodiversity statistics, so 1 in 7 people are actually neurodivergent. That's quite a significant like minority in our society, and 30 to 40% of neurodivergent adults are unemployed, which is really alarming because it's quite a significant part of our workforce that's not being sort of explored and utilized. And 7% of companies, only 7% of them measures neurodiversity, because as many of you know, there's a massive trend for the right or the wrong reasons that companies are measuring the sort of the demographics of their employees to demonstrate their diversity when it comes to their employee pool, so that tend to have a focus on, for example, gender or ethnicity. But at the same time, neurodiversity is also a really important aspect of the sort of diversity investment, and it's really a shame that not a lot of companies have looked into this. So yeah, and also some stats that's specific to the tech industry. So this is according to the Institute of Engineering and Technology in the UK. So 820,000 neurodivergent engineers work in the UK alone, and 30% of engineers are estimated to be dyslexic, and 40% of people in the tech industry keep their neurodivergence a secret. I am very open about it at work, but I certainly know that there are people at work that I know are neurodivergent only because I am also neurodivergent, but I know that they keep it a secret. They told me not to sort of tell other people about it because they don't necessarily feel comfortable being themselves at work. And I think it's really a shame, because I think people should be able to bring their full self to work and not feel like they have to hide part of them to be able to fit in or to be able to feel psychologically safe and comfortable at work. So yeah, that just shows that there's like a lot of work to do to destigmatize neurodiversity in the workplace, so that when people are being their full self, they can produce the best work for sure. So yeah, next I want to talk about the benefit of neurodiversity in tech. So I think there's a massive misconception about hiring that with neurodiversity in mind. A lot of people think it's only a matter of fairness, which is true. Obviously, we want to have a fair and equal and balanced society, but it is actually not the full story, because people who are neurodivergent can actually improve the performance of teams, of the workforce, because we bring different perspectives. So I think there are a lot of study that's been done on, say, gender diversity. So a team that is a mix of different genders will have better performance, and that's the same with any other form of diversity. It's really a way to improve performance of a team by bringing different perspective and people who are good at different things, and whose brain work differently. These are some of the benefits of neurodiversity. So according to a study by the Harvard Business Review, companies that embrace neurodiversity in the workplace outperform their peers by an average of 2.3 times. And another study by the University of Montreal found that individuals with autism possess superior cognitive abilities in areas such as perception, memory, and processing of complex informations. And a survey by the National Autistic Society found that 86% of autistic employees felt that their condition was an asset to their workplace. And the study by EY found that neurodiverse teams were more innovative than their neurotypical counterparts, with 75% of companies reporting that these teams were more creative. And according to a report by the World Economic Forum, individuals with dyslexia, ADHD, and other neurodivergent conditions bring unique perspectives and skill sets to the tech industry, making them valuable contributors to innovation and problem solving. So yeah, so overall, the statistics really suggest that embracing neurodiversity in tech can lead to greater innovation, creativity, and productivity by creating an inclusive workplace. So yeah. Yeah, and however, despite the benefits, there are also a lot of challenges in navigating neurodiversity in tech. So it's not a smooth sail as you might have imagined. I want to talk a bit about sort of my personal struggles, I guess, being ADHD and working in tech. So examples like disorganization, forgetfulness, and distraction. I guess this is some of it's not like maybe directly related to work, but for example, I am very, very forgetful. I lose things all the time. I think I'm definitely getting better because I think as an adult, I have more coping mechanisms. But before the age of 17, I had lost 4 phones, like mobile phones, and I only started having phones when I was 14 or something. So basically, I was losing phones like at the rate of one a year, and yeah, which was very frustrating. But I think since then I haven't lost a phone since I became an adult. So I think I've gotten better in that, but I still like lose a lot of stuff all the time, and yeah, I often get distracted as well, and it's not even like just sounds or sort of visual stimuli around me or anything like that. A lot of the time it's distracted by my own thoughts when I'm working. If I suddenly think of something, I just have to go and do it. So like I said before, I was a software engineer, I was a consultant, and those of you who may or may not be consultants might know that if you're a consultant, one of the important things to do as sort of your admin task is to complete your timesheets. And I remember, so before the pandemics, we had to do our timesheets once a week, but when the pandemic started, it became a daily timesheet, and I just remember I really really struggled with that. I think we had like so I was in a graduate intake, and I think there were about 100 something people, 120, I think, around that in my cohort, and I was like, my manager told me like at the sort of the at our moderation that I was the worst at timesheet in my entire year group. I think there were like maybe 200 something timesheets throughout the year, and I missed 60 something of them. So like basically, I missed of a third of the time, maybe, yeah, a third to a quarter of the timesheet that we were supposed to complete. So I really really struggled with that because I would open my timesheet and then open my calendar to see what I did during the day, and then I'll see something else on the calendar, or I see something else pop up, and I will just forget about it, and that happens like quite regularly. So that's why I miss a lot of timesheet. But yeah, it's one of the things that I really struggle with. I think thankfully as a software engineer, I don't have to do timesheets anymore. So yeah, that's been I guess sort of an improvement, and yeah, but at the same time, I think nowadays as a software engineer, I have to sort of regularly update my task on the Springboard, and sometimes I just forget, and I'll always like at the start of the daily stand up, like our dev lead will pull the board up, and I suddenly will realize, oh my gosh, I forgot to update my task again. So I'll like scramble to find the board and try to update before it was my turn to speak during the stand up. So yeah, I think it's still a struggle, but in different ways. Yeah, I think yeah, some of other struggles I have, like procrastination. I think I'm like the ultimate procrastinator. I leave everything last minute. I think when I was at uni, all of my essays were written starting to write my essay, even either the day before or on the day of the deadline. And by starting, I mean starting to look for like literatures and articles and references. So it's not like I read everything and knew what I was going to write about, and then I start writing. It's like I literally wouldn't have known. Like I would have already forgotten the topic of the essay maybe 2 days before the deadline. And so yeah, and I think that's actually really bad because every time in the middle of the night I'm pulling an all-nighter, I'll be like regretting my life decisions. But yeah, and I think I still struggle with it a lot, but I think I'm getting a bit better on things. I think yeah, I think even though sort of neurodivergent conditions never go away, but as we grow up, we tend to develop coping strategies that will help us sort of deal with these struggles. And yeah, and sometimes like I'm quite talkative as well. I can talk a lot without realizing that perhaps I'm really bothering people. So yeah, that's one of the things as well. And I'm very restless. Like I would fidget things all the time. Currently, I'm fidgeting my earphones. But yeah, but I think nowadays they're like fidget toys, which are really sort of helpful for neurodivergent individuals. So yeah, and yeah, and some of the like challenges sort of in the wider workplace include discrimination, lack of support, and burnout. So I think it's definitely getting better. I think especially in recent years, but there's still like workplace discriminations against people who are neurodivergent, and a lot of, and even if people are not sort of actively or covertly discriminating against neurodivergent individuals, there's still like a lack of support sometimes because managers or colleagues might not know how to best enable their neurodivergent colleagues to perform at the workplace. And yeah, so that's something I think really important that companies should have like trainings on raising awareness and how to be an ally to neurodivergent colleagues. And yeah, and people with who are neurodivergent also have a higher sort of chance of experiencing burnouts at the workplace because of sort of the environment not adapted to our needs, or we don't feel appropriately or adequately supported. So that can lead to sort of consequences where we just cannot carry on working anymore. Yeah. So, what are some of the strategies that we can sort of adopt to work sort of bring our best selves to work, and what are some of the sort of steps that companies and employers have taken in order to best support neurodivergent employees? So yeah, so here are some of the hiring programs that I've found that by different sort of tech companies in order to hire the best neurodivergent talents from the labor market. So Microsoft have this program called the Microsoft Neurodiversity hiring program, which is built on the belief that neurodivergent individuals bring innovative thinking and creative solutions to the workforce. So the program aims to attract and retain talented neurodivergent candidates and provide training and support that they need for their career growth and success. And so like some of the things that's part of the program include, for example, extended interview process focuses on workability, interview preparation, and skill assessment to give candidates the opportunity to showcase their unique talent while learning about Microsoft as an employee of choice. So yeah, similarly, Google Cloud also has the Autism Career Program, and Salesforce has the Autism at Work Program, which yeah, I won't go into detail because of the time. But yeah, so IBM also has Diversibility, and SAP has their autism at work program, and DXC Dandelion has the Dandelion program. Yeah, and very similarly, HP's Spectrum Success Program. Dell has the Neurodiversity at Dell Technologies, and VMware also have the Neurodiversity Inclusion Program. So yeah, so there are also some sort of accessibility tools that different organizations have developed. Here are some examples that are available in Windows and Microsoft 365 to help to help people, neurodivergent people, improve their reading comprehension and writing skills, and also to read out loud, read without distractions, and also customize the reading experience, and to help sort of people stay focused and organized, and use their keyboards sort of effectively. There's also accessibility checker that people can use to make sure that the documents that they produce are accessible to all of their recipients. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. And on top, there's my LinkedIn QR code if you want to scan it and connect with me on LinkedIn. And feel free to reach out if you have anything that you want to talk about, or just stay connected. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much, Nina. Thanks a lot for sharing also a lot of numbers, a lot of data, which is absolutely stunning, because sometimes people think, oh, this is just a very small number of people, or like, again, there is a lot of misconception and ideas because why people are hiding their neurodiversity, like thinking it's all about disability and thinking it's all about something that people shouldn't talk about. But thank you so much for highlighting all the superpowers that are actually backed up by research, which we absolutely love.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
We do have a few questions in the chat that we're monitoring both platforms. We do have a few questions. We do have a question from fellow speakers. So Clara has asked us, as co-workers, how can we be allies for neurodiverse people?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I think allyship is a very, very important part of the journey towards neurodiversity in the workplace. And I think something that, for example, you can do is ask sort of your colleagues, how can they support you? Like, for example, because it really varies depending on the individual. But for example, for me, like something that would be really helpful is if another colleague of mine would like we can arrange some time to maybe update or sort of springboard together. I think having that sort of accountability really helps. I think that's something that maybe just if people are struggling with a particular, say, admin task, you can offer to sort of do it with them together, so that it's to make sure that it's done and listed. And other things like maybe having giving people the time to have focus time. So for example, at my workplace, we have we're encouraged to block out time in our calendar as focus time to remove sort of the distraction. So if somebody has like that block of time blocked out in their calendar, or if they set their sort of status to do not disturb, it's really important to sort of respect that and give people space to focus on their tasks. And when they're free, that's when sort of you reach out and get on with the sort of conversation that you need to have. So I think, there are a lot of small things that definitely you can do, but I think it's definitely really, really very depending on the individual. So I think the best thing to do is to ask the person sort of what sort of support they need, and then sort of and support them where they can. And I guess the other thing that you can do is I don't know if in your workplace you have these like at Microsoft, we have you can edit your profile picture to show your support for cause. And personally, I have the neurodiversity sort of halo around my profile, just to show that, yeah, it's something that I'm passionate about. And so yeah, and in my status, I also link to like a Microsoft site on how to work with neurodivergent individuals, so that people working with me are able to sort of accommodate and support me where they can. I think I would do the same to my colleagues as well. So yeah, and thank you so much for like being an ally. I think is a really, really important part of the journey.
Thank you so much. We also have a request from our speakers because, again, as I mentioned, we're very happy to see all the a lot of data and a lot of statistics. So we have a request from Hamad. So Hamad would like to have the access to the presentation, and if possible, the links that you used, like maybe the references when you were preparing this talk. Again, thank you very much, Hamad. We're encouraging our speakers to share interesting resources later on that we would like to distribute. And of course, if again, if this is something that you continue, we'll be super happy to have it and to share with our audience.
Yeah, definitely. I'm more than happy to share my slides.
And also, I think that there is also the last question, I believe, for today's for Nina is going to be from David. And yeah, I think that if you can see it, it's do you have a neurodivergent employee resource group at work?
Yeah, we have the disability ERG at work, which kind of encompasses like neurodivergency. But we also have like a separate group that's not really an official ERG, but it's like really there to support neurodivergent individuals. And yeah, and there are sort of activities and talks that we have in that space. So yeah, I think it's super important to have ERGs. I think that's honestly my favorite thing about working for a big company, because there are just so many opportunities to have sort of a space where people can support each other, and to have this official organization, official group that we can dedicate to this really important cause. So yeah.
That sounds great. Thank you. Well, and it's actually great to know that the company is actually paying attention, and they try to leverage on the superpowers that people can actually introduce. With a little bit of help and a little bit of accommodation, we can unleash so much potential in neurodivergent talent. And I think that was all the questions. And thank you so much, Nina, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your holidays. Hopefully we'll see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.